obligations, the sense of duty to continue serving, loving his country, and knowledge of our great history is what brings him here today. And please welcome him to the podium.
Good morning. Good morning. So when I was asked to come and speak today, the topic that I was supposed to talk about is why history in general is so important. Can everybody hear me in the back? I can talk much louder if need be. You just let me know. I think we forget how important history it is because history ultimately becomes the scales by which we measure modern action. Modern ideology, modern movement and community, modern political machinations all go to the scales of history. Because it's the scales of history that remind us what tyranny looks like. It reminds us of what the movement of evil looks like. Every one of our founding fathers, especially during the Revolution, all had a belief about the importance of history. John Adams specifically spoke to a concept that without history, we have no knowledge. Without knowledge, we have no wisdom. And without wisdom, liberty crumbles. Think about that for 1 second. We as American people, we as American citizens, we have a duty based on the calling of our founding fathers to not only know our history, but to practice our freedoms every single day. We don't have the ability to look at modern messaging and say, is this modern messaging in the best interest of the American people? Is it constitutional? And does it remind us of messaging from the past? The battles in North Carolina and the battles across the country during the Revolutionary War were fought in opposition to tyrannical leadership, in misrepresentation, especially because at the time, after the founding of the Church of England, you had one man who was alleged to be the top of the church and the top of the kingdom, who would force upon the people taxation without representation, tyrannical rule, and ultimately force of violence in order to perpetuate his ends and his means. Now we can't, as American people, wake up in the morning and look ourselves in the mirror without personal expectation and responsibility of duty to the nation that we live in. We must wake up and recognize that every morning and every night before we go to bed, we sing praises to our God. We give recognition to our Constitution, and we uphold the honor of the men and women that died founding this great nation. Edmund Burke said it. Those who don't remember history are deemed or doomed to repeat it. And I know a lot of you in the crowd right now, I see your heads nodding because you agree, because you can see what's happening. But that's the importance of history. The history that we can remember becomes the litmus test of future opportunity. It becomes the country that our next generation takes hold over. It's an opportunity for us as American citizens in this generation to measure and weigh our decisions so that when our children grow up and take over this nation, we don't have to stand in regret for inaction. The fighters of the American Revolution, the Continental Army, and the militias of Western North Carolina and Carolinas in general, they didn't just win the war. They defeated a long-standing ideological standard that people could not self-govern, and that one ultimate power, being man, created law, which gave us our rights. But they spoke against that. In every document they wrote and every letter they shared, they specifically stated that our rights are endowed by a single creator, Lord God above, and that the Constitution is only written in order to protect those rights, so that the American people, recognizing they have a right to self-governance and to personal agency, have the ability to push back against tyrannical rule for the entirety of history. But that's only if we remember. The greatest part about today is that we get to honor the memory of those that fought and died. We get to remember what they did. We get to remember the importance of Earl's Ford and the battle that ultimately led to turning the tide, which ultimately led to the, well, if you guys remember, it wasn't Cornwallis that surrendered. It was General O'Hara that brought the sword to General Washington. In shame, they bowed their head because men who endeavored on great pursuits recognized they had a duty and responsibility to their neighbors to take massive action and create massive impact. So I want to leave you with a challenge. I want to leave you with the challenge that every morning you wake up, you practice and exercise your rights as American citizens. You give praise to the Lord God above that we have this great nation secured by the Constitution, endowed to us by God, and that we have a responsibility to show up every single day to make it better for the next generation. I challenge that to you, and I ask you the most important thing of all. Remember that you are Americans. Remember that the Constitution is the greatest, longest standing republic document in the history of the world, and that men and women fought and died for this document in this country, not just during the Revolutionary War, but every major conflict after that moment. And I ask that we simply give thanks and praise to God above. Thank you for our veterans, and thank you guys for being here for this memorable. I appreciate your time.